Whoa. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome Rotarians and guests and anybody that walked in the door. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Livermore. So Alan Frank, would you be willing to lead us in the pledge today? All right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So house rules. If you are in attendance at the beautiful Robert Livermore Community Center today, please turn off your phones. If you're joining us on Zoom and you are not speaking, please mute yourself. If you are speaking, please unmute yourself. It is now my very distinct pleasure to introduce them. You know them, you love them. Rotary Club of Livermore songsters. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand.
We're getting our girls together here. Okay. Come on over here. All right, it's boy, girl, boy, girl.
There we go.
Boy, girl, okay, girl, boy, girl. That works too. Okay, we're gonna do something happy now because we got enough sad stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Of course, we need a conductor. Okay. Strumming on the old banjo. I've been working on the railroad all long day. I've been working on the railroad just as fast as I obey. Can't you hear the whistle blowing right up early in the morning? Can't you hear the whistle sound? Now, Diana, blow your horn. I know this part. Diana, won't you blow? Diana, won't you blow? Diana, won't you blow your horn? Diana, won't you blow? Diana, won't you blow? Diana, won't you blow your horn? Girls.
Someone's in the kitchen, Diana. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen, Diana. Someone's in the old banjo. Be my heart, be my all. Be my big guy, oh. Be my big guy, oh. Strumming on the old banjo.
It's a volunteer organization. Okay.
Good fun, good fun. Thank you all. Okay, thought of the day. Paul Thompson, what do you got for us, Paul? Okay. Come on up.
So a little disclaimer, I did get permission from our president that I'm going to go over the allotted 2 minutes. I know that's a surprise, but I thought I've got something which I think is very appropriate. Can you hear me now? Okay, so I've been in this country now for 50 years. That's 2/3 of my life. I came very late 1950 to 1970. And within 18 months, actually 50 years ago, now I drove around this country with my 6-month-old daughter and my then wife. We camped all the way around. We did 13,000 miles, went to several states. Mostly we circumambulated the United States. Excuse me. But one of the places we camped at, I don't know whereabouts in DC, but we camped in Washington, DC. And then we went saw the memorials. Well, since then, I've been around the States twice with a new wife and 2 sets of kids, different times. And we camped somewhat and stayed with some friends somewhat. But every time we went to DC, because I wanted my children to see DC. And each time we would go into the Lincoln Memorial and read the the second inaugural address. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the second inaugural address by our president. He said this address in March of 1865. The war ended just over a month later in April 1865, and he died April the 15th. He was assassinated in 1865. And I thought, with all the problems our country is having and the divide we have in many ways, I just thought this address, for us to hear it, for me to hear it, especially for me to hear it, was very important. So this is so this is what he said on March the 4th, 1865 in Washington, D.C. Fellow countrymen, at the second appearing to take the oath of the presidential office, there is less occasion for an extended address than there was at the first. Then a statement somewhat in detail of a course to be pursued seemed fitting and proper. Now, at the expiration of 4 years, during which public declarations have been constantly called forth on every point and phase of the great contest, which still absorbs the attention and engrosses the energies of the nation, little that is new could be presented. The progress of our arms, upon which all else chiefly depends, is as well known to the public as to myself. And it is, I trust, reasonably satisfactory and encouraging to all. With high hope for the future, no prediction in regard to it is ventured. On the occasion corresponding to this 4 years ago, all thoughts were anxiously directed to an impending civil war. All dreaded it, all sought to avert it. While the inaugural address was being delivered from this place, devoted altogether to saving the Union without war, insurgent agents were in the city seeking to destroy it without war, seeking to dissolve the Union and divide effects by negotiation. Both parties deprecated war, but one of them would make war rather than let the nation survive, and the other would accept war rather than let it perish. And the war came. 1/8 of the whole population were colored slaves, not distributed generally over the Union, but localized in the southern part of it. These slaves constituted a peculiar and powerful interest. All knew that this interest was somehow the cause of the war. To strengthen, perpetuate, and extend this interest was the object for which the insurgents would rend the Union, even by war, while the government claimed no right to do more than to restrict territorial enlargement of it. Neither party expected for the war the magnitude or the duration which it has already attained. Neither anticipated that the cause of the conflict might cease with, or even before the conflict itself should cease. Each looked for an easier triumph and a result less fundamental and astounding. Both read the same Bible and pray to the same God, and each invokes his aid against the other. It may seem strange that any men should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of other men's faces, but let us judge not that we be not judged. The prayers of both could not be answered. That of neither has been answered fully. The Almighty has his own purposes. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. If we shall suppose that American slavery is one of those offenses, which in the providence of God must needs come, but which having continued through his appointed time, he now wills to remove, and that he gives to both North and South this terrible war as the woe due to those by whom the offense came, shall we discern therein any departure from those divine attributes which the believers in a living God always ascribe to him. Fondly do we hope, fervently do we pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. Yet if God wills that it continue until all the wealth piled up by the bondsman's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another drawn with the sword, as was said 3,000 years ago, so still it must be said, the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations.
Thanks, Paul. Want to acknowledge the team that makes these meetings go. Out on Zoom today, Jeff Youngsma holding down Zoom hosting duties. Thank you, Jeff. Spur reporter today, Will Bateson in the house. Thank you, Will. Audio visual, Dennis O'Brien, man in the desk. Thank you very much, Dennis. Our Zoom chat monitor today, David Rounds. I think you're out there, so hello. And our Spur publisher today, Don Wentz. I saw Don sign on. So hey, Don, thank you. And also want to just acknowledge Irv Stowers in the back, right? Hey, maybe it's been a while since you've had your photo taken. Maybe it's time to acknowledge that 37-year-old picture doesn't look like you anymore. And it might be helpful to new members to get an updated photo so that they might know who you are. So Irv has graciously volunteered his camera and his time. If you would like to update your photo, that's an option. If you'd rather not, we get it. So at this time, I would like to welcome visiting Rotarians. I see we've got some guests in the house. Jeff, any visiting Rotarians joining us on Zoom today?
Not that I've spotted, but they can certainly speak up if I missed anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any.
Okay. All right. Visiting Rotarians here in the house? I don't think so, but we've got some guests. Somebody want to handle some introductions for us back there? Okay.
Well, I'll go first.
Roland?
I'm so excited to say my wife and best friend, and also tell me what to do person. I need to listen better. Is Pam, my wife.
All
Thanks,
right,
everyone.
welcome Pam. Thanks for joining us today. Mike,
President Ken and fellow Rotarians, it's my pleasure to introduce Trex Donovan, a prospective member. Trex happens to be a good friend of my daughter's, and he owns Buena Vista Tree Service. He's an arborist in town. If you need that work, he's a great guy. Trex.
all right, Trex, thanks for joining us. And we're noticing, Trex, you've been here 3-4 times now. It kind of looks like you're interested. Okay, somebody get that man an application.
So President Ken, fellow Rotarians, it's my pleasure to introduce Walt Finfin today. He is, I think, being inducted, whereas Sonia, yes, he's coming
Maybe we'll
into the
get him.
club today.
Next week?
Oh, next week?
We'll get you
We
next
have one
week.
more week, Walt. You got to come back another time.
All right.
Oh, he won't be here next week. Oh,
We'll get you when you're back.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, Walt is, he's an entrepreneur. That's all I'm going to call you. He's going to start a new business and I don't know what it is, but please
right.
welcome Walt
All
Finfin.
right. Thanks for joining us, Walt. Any other guests
I
today?
see a guest on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
So Jeff Caskey. And
Oh,
Jeff, I
nice.
don't know what you're doing. I think you run the last factory right now.
I run the last factory. However you want to say it. Indeed.
Right. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, welcome, Jeff. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, well, welcome all. At this time, new member talk. Come on up, Roland. Tell us about yourself.
Number one, I did a horrible job of introducing my wife. She is my best friend, but also a realtor, and we want her in this club. So there you go. So that's That's the joy. Hey, thank you. So currently I'm the executive director / mission director of Tri-Valley Seek and Save. It's a nonprofit organization. It's focused on doing one thing, and that's serving the poor and those in need here in the Tri-Valley. Any given time, we're walking with about 100 families, 70% who are single moms with kids, 30% single women and men. Our focus with our moms is to support them in crisis so they don't give their kids up for foster care. For them to then move into being self-dependent. For that to happen, they each need, we really feel 4 things. 1 is shelter, 2 is food, 3 is a job, and 4 is a car. We have about 100 volunteer missionaries and an additional 100 advocates and supporters. So the question is, how did I get here? I'm 59, and how did I start this thing? January 1 was my day 1 as far as being the director. But let me just go back real quick. Number 1, mom and dad who cared for neighbors, and they were foster parents. My dad, Norwegian from Northern Norway, he always had to say, he goes, son, it's nice to be nice. And he was the nicest guy in our neighborhood. Everybody would come to him for help. So then I married Pam, and we gave birth, or she gave birth. I didn't do anything. Praise the Lord. And to 2 awesome kids. And then God sent 2 additional gifts. We've been married 34 years. So our kids were 14 and 16, and they brought home a friend named Eric. And Eric never moved out. The kids said, can we keep him? And I said, anyway, but the fact is his parents had both passed it, so we kept him. And so that was 1, and he came, now he's 31, doing great. And then we got into the all kids are out, empty nester syndrome for 5 years. Nobody was in our house. And then we got Sasha. And so at 15, the Livermore School District and our church said, you should take her in. And I have to say, she changed our lives upside down. But now it's so exciting. She's 21, doing great. So, and then finally, we have 3 grandsons. So the question is, how did I get here? A couple different things. One was careers. And what I was between 20 and 36, I was a coach, PE teacher, and a youth pastor. I joined Rotary during that time, which I was in for 22 years. All those things helped move me along. Then I stepped into I was a residential treatment facility. It was called Carice Youth Center, and I was a director for that. We had 4 group homes and our own non-public special ed school. And then I worked for the Board of Supervisors, Alameda County Courts, and ran mediation arbitration services for about 5 years. So all those things that I jumped over and became a sales guy. And so for the last 23 years, that's what I was doing in market research. Well, 8 years ago, we started an organization with 5 other people, and it was focused on saving girls out of trafficking. Our focus is called Seek and Save. It was Oakland, Berkeley, and Fremont. And so for those 5 years, that was our task. Very hard to get other people involved in that kind of work, though. Very hands-on and focused. And then we got a call one day, and the call was this. It came from an agency here in town and said, there's a mom with 4 kids in Walmart with nothing. They don't have any food. They don't have any money. They don't have shelter. I go, holy smokes. And so Pam and I went down, we met him. That was true. And I have to say, it was a training ground. It opened partner. I have to say that day, we were provided provision for that family, and it just started as a rocket ship, and they're still doing great. We see them literally all the time, but it opened partnerships with agencies like Tri-Valley Haven, Cooking Group, if you don't know who Tri-Valley Haven is, Shepherd's Gate, another awesome place, Abode Housing, Trader Joe's, and a bunch of churches. So this, about a month ago, I got this note. This is a typical thing that comes in. Hi, just recently I was served with an eviction notice. I have to be out tomorrow at 6:01 in the morning. I don't have anywhere to go. Can you please help me, or at least point me in the right directions? I think that so much has happened. I don't have anywhere to go with my baby. Can you help? So our response was, we're geared up for those types of things now. We located a friend that was willing to shelter this mom that day. We signed volunteer missionaries and then brought in other agencies, and so she could move forward. Just want to say, we're not afraid of hard cases. We get lots of referrals from Livermore Unified School District and others too, Dublin and Pleasanton. One came in a month ago. 8-year-old reported to his Livermore teacher that his mom's sisters were being beaten. Anyway, so what we did, we assigned 2 of our strongest missionaries. Both are Filipinos, speak the language. She doesn't speak English. And then we brought in an awesome attorney. And so we're unafraid of tough situations. And then underneath all that, then we brought in Tri-Valley Haven for their expertise, City Serve, and then Cornerstone Fellowship to help with funding. So anyway, bottom line, we're partnered with a whole bunch of churches, but also 30 other agencies or businesses, including 3 local school districts, 4 auto repairs. We got both Big O Tires, Pleasanton, Livermore, and the office of Dave Haubert. Dave Haubert, just one small example, funded 100 kids for Christmas. And so through him, then we get to go to Warriors or all the kinds of things, whatever's at the Alameda County thing. So anyway, lastly, the food situation, and you can look online, see what we do, but we have food 7 days a week. We're in great partnership with the Alameda County Food Bank, One Nation Dream Makers, Trader Joe's, to supply about 100 families every week with groceries and those types of things. So my life is incredible. And the reason it is because I get to go back to what my dad was doing, which was just nice to be nice and to have that heart of service. And I have to say, that's why I'm so thankful for Rotary, because you guys are doing it too. You guys are out there being the hands and feet for those in need. So thank you for accepting me in this club. Yep.
I love that. It's nice to be nice. That is good stuff. Welcome, Roland. Rodeo Parade. Paul, what's happening?
Well, if you've driven on 580, you will have noticed the rodeo man is up. And I mean, it means that the rodeo is just about here. And that means the parade too. Hey, I need at least 3 more people to help out with the parade. So I appreciate everyone who signed up. I've got a lot of people signed up, but it's just a big project. It's going to be a shorter parade, so it's not going to be a 2-hour parade like in the past. It's probably going to be more like an hour and 10 minutes or something. But during that period of time, I need more people to help out. So on Saturday morning, again, we're having a breakfast at the Riata, and I need people to help with line people up and some other things. So please sign up to help out with the parade. Thank you.
All right. And kind of in line with parade is it's years, right? Long time ago, you may remember, we'd go out to the rodeo grounds for lunch before rodeo weekend. We're going to do that again this year. Yeah. So thank you to the Livermore Cattle Women's Association, Sheila.
Yes.
For inviting and hosting us. Because we've kind of gotten out of our lunch routine, though, we need to pay for the food. You may have seen emails or an email from David Rounds. We need everybody to sign up for lunch. The Livermore Cattle Women's Association needs to know how much food they need to make, right? So you got to sign up for this. Sheila, I forgot to ask you, when is the deadline? When do we need to cut it off and tell Rotarians, hey, if you haven't signed up by?
Okay, so the Friday before, so
Okay.
what is that, the 3rd?
That sounds about right.
Okay, so by the Friday before, so they could go shopping.
Okay. So
June
we'll
3rd.
send reminders. We'll send more emails out, but you got to sign up. You got to pay $20. So, but it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. You'll see more information about that. So.
It's the,
Oh, and super helpful Sonia back there says she'll take your money today.
okay.
You don't
and-
even have to wait for the email.
Okay, and just to confirm, it's the Wednesday before the rodeo, which is the
June
8th. That's when the lunch is, and if you have to RSVP by the 3rd.
Right.
So the ladies know how much food to buy. Here's Sonia.
Great. And if you got
It's
questions.
rodeo is the correct term.
Oh.
Thank you, Mike, for reminding.
My bad. So again, if you missed it, if you're in the house here at Robert Livermore Community Center, you don't want to wait, you want to get signed up. Sonia back there has one of those devices. She can take your money. She can get you signed up. Dennis, you've got a question.
I do. Will this be a Zoom meeting? Will it be a hybrid meeting? I don't know about the network out in that facility.
So Dennis has a brilliant question. Hadn't thought of that. I'm gonna guess no, that this might be, it might be one of those meetings where it's very difficult to replicate a Zoom hybrid situation. So must be present to win. So sorry if that excludes some folks.
That's a different lunch.
You will be missed. Yeah. But that's how we're gonna do this. So good question, Dennis. Thanks for clarifying that. Dennis has more stuff he'd like to share with us. What else is going on, Dennis?
Let's see, for the third week, I'm offering the guys to clean out their closets, bring their old suits and suit jackets, ties, and polo shirts. We're trying to create a closet for those veterans coming out of jail, Santa Rita Jail. We're working with the deputy sheriffs of Alameda County. And we need clothes for them to be able to go and interview and get jobs. You can see there's a basket back there. It was full last week and it's full this week. We're gonna have it there one more week. And by all means, clean out your closets and bring things in. Kathy. In this case, yes.
Women vets out there that could use some clothes?
This program was started by the deputy sheriff specifically for the men coming out of
Okay.
Santa Rita, the veteran men coming out of Santa Rita. I haven't heard anything extended to the women. I
Okay.
don't know if that's going on or not.
Okay, thanks, Dennis.
Sure.
Thank you, Dennis. Sonia. We're gonna have some fun tonight, right?
Just a reminder that tonight is our monthly new member appreciation, bring a prospective member event at Wood Winery in Livermore on Research Drive, starting at 5 p.m. There'll be wine, there'll be food, and there'll be a lot of fun because we'll all be there.
All right.
So please come.
All right. Thank you, Sonia.
Yeah, everybody's invited. It's Research Drive,
All right.
and it's lots of fun, you guys.
So I've been asked to let everybody know, save the date.
President Ken, maybe we could announce that for you.
Oh, thank you.
So there is a very important event coming up on Wednesday, June 29th, where we will have the honor and privilege of roasting our outgoing President Ken. And so we need all of you there. This will be a wonderful evening, and I know our past presidents have something exciting planned for you. So please, it's $25. Is there, what is the deadline? Can we pay there? Oh, no? Here, hold on.
The 25 covers food, drinks, whatever you want. And the entertainment, we should charge another 25, but we chose not to. And do invite your spouse, friends, guest. We look forward to seeing you.
Great.
One guest, yeah.
One
Maximum
guest.
2 per member.
One
Thank
guess. And Joel, when do you need to know a head count on that? So a week beforehand, so they can actually order enough food for that event. So
As in the past, there are some people who keep showing up to help out barbecuing. We already have a grill reserved. So using Jay Frost's combination grill and burner. So if we want to have a huge pot of beans and reenact a scene from Blazing Saddles, we can do that too. Nonetheless, looking for about probably 10 people. So you aren't chained to the grill the entire afternoon and can go mingle and try some of the beer and, things like that.
all right.
So looking for about 10 people. I have a couple already, but additional help for things like buying food at Costco would also be good. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Dennis, you've got a question.
I point out that there's a big orange button on the Rotary Club website. Push that button to be able to get to the menu to be able to register and pay for the luncheon and the party.
Okay, great, great. And I imagine that this won't be the last time you hear about that. So
Correct. And President Ken, even if people look in their mail, in their email inbox, they will find a wonderful invitation for that event. So by Wednesday, June 22nd, one way or another, buy your tickets.
all right.
We just can't wait.
I'm terrified. Okay, everybody. Thanks for that. So, this is one of the fun parts of my job. So it is my pleasure and my honor right now to honor one of our own, somebody that we feel actually, because we're Rotarians and we're all really good at this service thing, we've actually got 2 Rotarians of the quarter this year. And we want to acknowledge both of them. So these individuals both, and I gotta take a step back, right? Rotarian of the quarter, supply chain issues, those kind of things. Plaques just came in, but this is for the period from January, February, and March. And we're finally getting to this. So, right. So during that time, what did we do? We had a crab feed, right? We had a big crab feed, and a couple of people made just huge contributions to the success of that. And we want to honor them. One of them is in the house today with us. The other is not, but I would like to honor and have you all join me in honoring Debbie Peck and Sherry Sheets. I don't see Sherry out on Zoom today either, but we'll get a plaque for her. Again, thank you so much for your contributions. You do so much to make that event go. And here, so good fun. So I think that was it for announcements. Did I miss anything? So next week, our very own Gordon Jones is going to give us an update on cybersecurity and the California Consumer Privacy Act. We know there's lots of bad actors out there in the world, right? And you just constantly have to be vigilant and protect people trying to steal your information and stuff. I think Gordon's going to have some tips, some help for us on that. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. So for our program today, I want to acknowledge we didn't intentionally do a bait and switch on you today. We had an issue. I guess Jeff Schaefer wasn't able to make it from the city. It sounds like we'll need to reschedule Jeff further out on the calendar to get an update on everything that's going on at Carnegie Park. But Splen broke out the Rolodex, or maybe he's on speed dial, and got County Supervisor Dave Haubert here today to speak to us. So Splen, would you be willing to introduce our speaker today?
I'm sorry, Dennis, I did not catch this. That's not how you spell Alameda. So, all right, Dave, you want to start walking up? I know it take you a while. He's really old and tired, and so but about next week's, remember, bring your phones. Gordon's going to collect them, and don't worry that he's going to plug them into his laptop. It means nothing. Okay, don't be concerned. He's just going to do a check for viruses. No, I'm just kidding. So, I really, yeah, exactly, and your social security number. So really pleased to have, especially Roland, when you mentioned Dave and all the help. I asked Dave, Dave's a dear friend. We work together, and I asked him, can you come in and tell us about, I mean, honestly, all the good, I'm saying this for him, all the great things that Dave and his office does for his district, which is District 1, which is about half of Fremont, all of Livermore, and all of Dublin. That's what Dave represents. And he's been in office for about a year and a half-ish and got elected in 2020 and on a hard-fought election campaign. But he's done so much good for us. I don't want to give you any more, Dave, but let's give Dave a big hand.
Well, hello, Livermore. Thank you for having me, Splend. I'm honored that you would think of me as in your time of need when somebody has to cancel on you, not their fault, but that you would call on me. I'm touched. And I want to say, as I walked in when Roland was speaking, and Roland, if everybody, let's give it up for Pam and Roland one more time. Truly, truly saints among us here. And I've enjoyed every time I've gotten a chance to roll up my sleeves and work alongside Roland and break a sweat, because everything that he does is helping people. And so whether it's 8 o'clock in the morning at Trader Joe's in the parking lot, taking food that is still good to eat, but past its shelf life, and making sure that it gets to people in need before it spoils is super important. And every time that we're sorting boxes at the parking lot at Cornerstone, food that's been delivered from the Alameda County Community Food Bank and through One Nation Dream Makers to people that need it, and it saves lives. And so that's what Seek and Save is all about. You have my full support. And so I wanted to just start with that. Alameda County is, and I want to share Alameda County. How many know, raise your hand if you knew, Alameda County is the 20th largest county in the United States of America. You knew that? Okay, very good. There's self-reported. How many knew that was about 1.7 million people, number 20 in the ranks of counties across the country? How many knew that it's rated as the 4th most diverse county in the country? The 4th most diverse county in the country. That is diversity of culture. So we have more languages spoken. We have more people coming into our country from other countries that were born in other countries than all but 3 other counties in America. We see that most recently, a lot of Afghan refugees have made their way to Fremont 30, 40 years ago, but now 6 months ago, a new batch of refugees. We see America pulling out, the Taliban moving in. And so I'm proud to say that my office has found a family that we've adopted and are supporting. They were living in the back room, a storage room, actually of a church in Fremont, and we're sponsoring them, got them into an apartment, looking for an automobile for them. Husband and wife separated over the last 4 years, recently reunited here in America, here in Fremont, got him a job, got the kid in school, sophomore in high school, younger sister, a kindergarten student. And so that's what we do here in Alameda. We open, Alameda County, we open our door to refugees. We're about to see some come in from Ukraine. They came to Sacramento recently. We're probably going to have our share here in Alameda County because we help out. That's what we do. My district, Splend did a great job. We all know my district. I'm going to talk about Alameda County, but also try to make it relevant to Livermore. If we have time, we can also ask and answer questions when we're done. I'll rapid fire and just talk. We all know that we are coming out of, but still in. I want to make sure we understand that we are coming out of, but still in a worldwide global pandemic of COVID. It started way back in 2020 when we sheltered in place and nobody left their house. And now we're back into, do we wear a mask? Do we not have to wear a mask? Where if I go inside, outside? It's still, I want you to know today, and we just got an update yesterday, we have only 2 residents in Alameda County that are in ICU. That's a good thing. It's still, though, in the last 4 months, we've had 25 people die of COVID. Still, we have about 8% of people who take a test show positive for COVID. It means it's out there, it's getting around, it will eventually probably get to everybody, vaccinated or not. But we do know that if you've been vaccinated, it's probably less likely that you'll get it. And if you do, less likely that it'll be severe. I've gotten my vaccination and booster. So highly recommend that you do. If you are susceptible or if you feel that if you do get COVID, it will really wreak havoc, make sure you wear a mask. Masks are still absolutely recommended, not required anymore, but recommended. I want to make sure that everybody knows if you wear a mask, that's okay, and it's your choice. But right now, it's not required. If numbers go back, we may have to reinstitute a masking mandate. But for right now, things are open. I think life is good, so to speak. Recommended you wear a mask, but not required. We're keeping an eye on the data. We want you to know that if the data turns and it goes up, we will have to reinstitute a mask mandate. Right now, not required. And now that we're outdoors a lot, that makes things a lot easier on everybody. I'm looking forward to the Livermore Rodeo. Let's give it back up for Livermore Rodeo. I was at the Ral Ranch Rodeo last weekend. I'm happy to say Sheila's invited me to come serve a different lunch than the one you were talking about earlier, but I'll be serving lunch to the volunteers at the rodeo and attending the parade and attending the rodeo. I really look forward to doing that. Talk about a few things here, Alameda County wide. Because of the pandemic, when it happened and when we were sheltering in place and people were not able to work and we were worried about mass evictions, Alameda County, before I was on the board, Alameda County made a move called the eviction moratorium. You cannot evict somebody whether they can pay rent or not. We just said, nope, can't do it. The courts won't process evictions. Fast forward to 20 months later, Alameda County still has an eviction moratorium in place. You still can't evict somebody if they haven't paid their rent. Rental assistance was provided by the federal government that only lasted about 12 months. And so landlords are experiencing tenants that aren't paying rent. And I've expressed, in my opinion, the desire to say that the eviction moratorium needs to be removed, and that if you aren't paying your rent, we have some bad actors out there that work, have money, and just put it in the bank. They won't pay their rent. I've made the motion to end the moratorium, but I don't have 3 votes. So that's just the status of that. I get questions all the time. Why do we still have an eviction moratorium in place? It's because we don't have 3 votes to get rid of it, which I think we should think about doing, or at least modifying it. Here we are in late May. That means June 7th is around the corner. It is election season. We see the lawn signs everywhere on my drive here into Livermore, because you have a great signed ordinance that says you can put a lawn sign just about anywhere. So I don't know, some people like that, some people don't, but they have to be small. That's right, unless it's on the hillsides. But here in town, it's, I would just want you to say, all I'm going to say about that is to register to vote, and please do. And everybody should vote their conscience. Everybody should make a vote. But 2 important ones that are coming up, I want you to think carefully about, is the sheriff's race and the district attorney's race. Well, why sheriff? Well, we know that in Alameda County, the sheriff patrols the rural roads. Livermore's got a lot of rural roads, and it's important that we have a good relationship with the sheriff's department. So for Livermore, make sure that you look closely at the sheriff's race. And of course, the sheriff is always working hand in hand with the district attorney, longtime district attorney Nancy O'Malley, retiring. So look to that race very keenly. Not for now, June, but coming in November, you know, there'll be another election for more city races. But also coming up in November, I want to talk about a ballot initiative for November 2022 will be for the extension of municipal services to the unincorporated area of Livermore called the Wine Region. So we probably already know that the utilities, that's sewer and water, they end at the city limit. Well, that means that water doesn't get out to, and sewer lines don't go out to unincorporated Alameda County where the winery region is. And it's very important that it does. Wineries now cannot process their own grapes unless they have a special, have been doing it and have the special equipment to do that. Extending the municipal services to wine region will allow for the Livermore Wine Valley to continue, well, to flourish. Right now, it's important to note, we have less acres planted for grapes today than we had 20 years ago. Who would have known that? Raise your hand. Less acres today than 20 years ago. People are surprised to hear that. They're even more surprised to hear that in the next 10 years, 30% or maybe more of the grapes that we still have are not going to be replanted. It's not economically viable without the infrastructure, without the water and sewer to keep the grapes going. So people will let their grapes, their vines go fallow. Question?
Would that extension include recycled water so to be used for irrigation?
Splend, do you know? I don't think recycled water, no, but that's not a bad thing to throw out there and then to see if we can. Yeah, but mostly sewer. Yeah, very good. And because as you wash the grapes, the water has to go into a sewer. That's most of it. But indeed, that water is going to go somewhere. So good point, though. We should look into that. Quality.
I'm sorry, Dave. It's past
Yeah.
septic system. Yeah, past septic systems and hog ranching have created some adverse effects in our groundwater. And one of the largest groundwaters is underneath what's called Buyer Ranch, which is if you look south, if you're driving on Tesla, that's Buyer Ranch. That is one of the main places that we pull water. And there's nitrates in that, again, from mostly a hog farming, and new wineries cannot, or expanding wineries cannot use a septic system anymore. So that's why we need the city of Livermore to use its treatment plant to process that wastewater so that they can grow. And we have new wineries. And so that someone like me, whose vineyard is at its end of its life, has a reason to replant.
Thanks for the details on that, Splend. Very important. It won't happen without the vote of the people. It also won't happen with money. And so my office and my predecessor has arranged for a $6.5 million fund to help pay for that. So the residents of Livermore don't have to pay for that. That's not all that's needed. There's more that's needed that will get passed on to the people that take advantage of those utilities. But we're coming to the table with $6.5 million to put towards that. Another thing that we've got going on is, and related to the wine region, and I think that Livermore wines are the absolute best around. But we're going to tell the world about that. And how are we going to do that? We know that we're not Napa. We're much smaller, but every bit as good. And we also know that there are other wine regions around the world that are in a similar position to us. Maybe they focus on one varietal. Maybe they are largely family owned and not taken over by corporations. So we are identifying and creating a sister wine region network. Think about sister city, but with wine regions around the country. So this allows us to do winemaker exchanges. It will allow us to do trading of best practices in the wine industry that are emerging. It will allow us to test new things, and it will allow us to put a Livermore wine country on the map, wine region on the map. And so I'm thankful that my office is going to be helping to fund the Sister Wine Region project. I'm going to be bringing in the economic development team of Alameda County to also help market it. And you'll see a lot more of putting Livermore Wine Region on the global map, which is great. I want to make sure that everyone knows, if you don't already, we've reinstituted the Rural Roads Zoom calls that we have in the evening, where we bring in CHP and Alameda County Sheriff's Department and emergency response personnel to come and listen to community members that live out on the rural roads. Remember, inside the city limits, the city mayor and the city council, they run things in the city. Outside city limits and unincorporated, we kind of are the mayor and the city government, county government. And so it's important that we listen to constituents. We're recreating the rural roads meetings where we can listen to people talk about things that they see out there. And we've already heard from residents who are willing to tell you, hey, there's illegal parking going on over here. There's illegal dumping of large mounds of dirt that we don't know where it came from. We've got to find a way to catch the people doing bad things out in the rural roads. People that live out in the rural roads have a real concern over this. We've seen sideshows where people come late at night and start doing donuts and drag races. So we're patrolling the rural roads and we're reconstituting the rural roads meeting. We're also establishing the East County Area Municipal Advisory Commission. So where cities have a city government, they elect city council members. We're going to create a position of municipal advisory council where we have 5 people that will be selected to represent the voices of unincorporated Alameda County. They will hear things related to planning. They will hear things related to ordinances. They will have the ability to weigh into the county Board of Supervisors, their recommendations. It's basically a voice at the table. If you have no voice, you won't be heard, right? So that's important that we establish a East County Municipal Advisory Commission. Sonol has one for its unincorporated area. Castro Valley has one. So now rural Livermore needs to have one. That's really important. And one of the reasons that I knew this was so important early on is that about a year ago, we started talking about the fact that Alameda County does not have a solar policy in place. Well, we just did one. We approved it the other a couple of weeks ago. We now have a solar policy in place to dictate things like what do we want to see in regards to solar power? Where would we like to see solar? How much solar would we like to see? Under what conditions would we like to approve solar power? If you don't have a policy, things can go very sideways very quickly. So we created a solar policy in place for Alameda County, which is really important. One other thing coming here to Livermore, well, actually already here, I want to talk about it, is on College Avenue, there's a fire station that was built 100 years ago. It hadn't been used in over a decade. It was just sitting there storing chemicals of hand sanitizer and boxes of masks and things like that. It was a storage facility. Well, a much better use for that is a food hub. And so we've moved everything out and we're moving food in. And One Nation Dream Acres is the caretaker of that. If you drive by College Avenue any day of the week, probably Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you will see them bringing in food from Alameda County Community Food Bank, bringing in food from Costco that is still good food, but not yet, but past the best buy date, but still good for another week or two. They're bringing food in pallets and pallets and pallets of food, and they're giving it to people that are food insecure. What does food insecure mean? I got to choose between paying my electric bill and buying my child lunch. That's a tough choice. Nobody should have to do that. We're providing food to people that need it, and as opposed to let it go to waste. Why do we do that? When it goes to waste, where does it go? The landfill. What does it do there? It creates methane gas, bad for the environment. It's just good to not waste food. And so that's what we're doing. College Avenue, a facility that was just a storage facility, and now is so much more beneficial and helpful to the community. And so I'm glad that we were able to do that. And another one is, where did it go to? Oh yeah, a church on Walnut Street, not so far from the old vineyard. Is that on North Livermore? North Livermore, I think, is Old Vineyard, North Livermore. So just down the street is a church, a Baptist church on Walnut that sold out and moved and retired, and the city of Livermore bought it in partnership with Alameda County. We're going to be turning that into an additional place for services. People that you see that are homeless, that need counseling, they oftentimes have to go outside of the city or all the way to Oakland for services. We're going to bring some more services to them right there on Walnut Avenue. A great location, very conveniently located, plenty of parking, and a way to serve our residents. If you haven't picked up on it yet, what we do as Alameda County is help make people's lives better. So those in need, we're going to find a way to help them. And that's what we do. That's also why I love being a Rotarian myself from the Dublin Rotary Club. And also what I love about speaking to Rotarians, because I know you guys really get it. Service above self, super important. And so I want to thank you for having me and say we have about a couple minutes left for questions if we have any. But I'll also end with, I am always available to you. My office is located here in the Tri-Valley at the Pleasanton Fairgrounds. I'm here for you. Oh, let's have a little plug for the Alameda County Fair. This time, today, this year, back in session. So we're going to be here June 17th through July 10th, the full fair coming in. That includes all the carnival rides and deep fried Twinkies you can eat. We'll be buying 4-H animals on July 10th. Horse races happening Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and for the 3 weekends, concerts most of the nights. It's just a great place to be, Alameda County Fair, starting June 17th. But my office is located there at the fairgrounds. I'm always here for you. You can send emails, find my cell phone on the internet. It's very easy. And my staff is also there for you. So I'm here, but we can also take a minute for any questions that we might have. Sheila, oh, whoa.
Wait a
David,
second,
I
just
thought you
one-
were going to race each other. Okay.
Good folks on Zoom, just a reminder,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
could please raise your hand if you've got a question for Supervisor Haubert. And then
David, just a quick question. I thought that fire station was closed for seismic safety reasons.
No, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure of that, but I'll tell you that nobody's on the second floor. And
That doesn't help. It's the first floor you worry about.
yeah. Yeah, well, food doesn't, that's a good question. It is deemed safe for the use that we're having it be in, and so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'll look into that because that's really important to know.
Well, it was proposed as a homeless shelter, and that was disallowed. So maybe the thought is earthquakes don't happen from 8 to 5.
I think what it is also is residential. No, I think residential uses versus commercial uses have a different
And
set of
I
criteria.
just
yeah.
actually know the family that owns that property. So she would have said something. I don't think so, because it's.
Alameda County owns the building and the land. Somebody might own the lot next to it or behind it, but Alameda County owns it. Yeah, and it is insured. But that's a real, I'm going to take that back and go look into it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
any other questions? Oh, here's a couple over here.
Can you tell me the name again of the people who are running it?
One Nation Dream Makers. Yeah. And you can Google them. You can find out all about them. Ronnie Forbes is running it. He's a great person who I would recommend you come in and have speak at some point in time, but One Nation Dream Makers, you can Google them easy. Yeah.
What's happening with the new Coliseum?
Yeah, that's a great question. The A's have decided that they're going to either move to Howard Terminal or they're going to find another home. Right now, it's still under analysis. It's a multi-billion-dollar project. And they've decided that they would like to go to Howard Terminal. The city of Oakland does have land that they're willing to put into the deal. They're looking at building a brand new state-of-the-art facility right there along the water in the city of Oakland, across the bay from the island of Alameda, called Howard Terminal. They're also looking to build 3,000 condominiums with water views and a bunch of commercial space. But right now, they're all in the environmental review process of that. The commission that handles waterways and oceans and what am I thinking, shoreline and oceanfront. A lot of environmental regulatory agencies that are involved in that. Alameda County doesn't have a big decision to make there. They have asked us to contribute the incremental tax base generated from their project to be donated back to the developers in order for them to be able to afford to do the project. That would be a 30-year deal that would not take money out of Alameda County that doesn't already exist, but only the incremental funding that would be generated by the project. We haven't made a final decision on that, and it's a very small part of the overall project. Really, what's going to happen, the answer to that is up to the city of Oakland. Yeah, because it's in the city proper, it's their land. They have to make the decision on it.
Great. So is that, Jeff, is that your hand up out there on Zoom?
Yes, that is. Hi, longtime listener, first time caller. Dave, the question I have is actually, we're going to go back to when you were talking about supplying sewer and water facilities in the county specifically for the wineries, and you said that your predecessor, Scott, had something lined up. Can you expand on that a little bit? I mean, is this going to be a tax base? Is this going to be, did we already receive a grant? Is this going to be some type of bond that people who are unincorporated are going to be voting on, or how do you envision how this is going to work?
Yeah, so $6.5 million is going to be already appropriated and already set aside. It is money that came from the tipping fee that we know that every time the garbage truck goes out to the Altamont landfill, there's a small amount of money that is paid to Alameda County. It's meant to be used on projects in East County, and they've already earmarked $6.5 million of that fund to go towards the cost of extending sewer and water. That is only part of it. The measure that will be placed on the ballot will explain how the rest of that funding would occur. That'll be placed on the city by the city of Livermore. So we'd have to look at their ballot language, which they will have done sometime in the July-August timeframe. So I can't comment on what the city's plan is, but I can tell you that we already have $6.5 million from the tipping fee that goes to the Altamont landfill. Basically, monies accumulated throughout the years that are in that bucket that's been appropriated for this. Does that help answer that question?
Yes, you did. Is it okay if I ask you a follow-up question?
Always.
Based on what you said. Okay, so like you said, we would be looking at a measure. Is this going to be something that, is it more envisioned right now? I mean, I know it still has to be crafted. Is it more envisioned that it would be a countywide measure?
No, this
but
would be
only
a city of
unincorporated would be paying, or is it strictly going to be something that Livermore has to deal with?
Strictly residents of Livermore.
Okay.
Because it's your utility services that would be extended. The city of Livermore owns and operates its water and sewer assets, and it would be city of Livermore.
Great. And maybe the last final question is, how does it feel being a county supervisor as opposed to being the mayor of Dublin? Do you find it easier or harder?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, my job changed considerably because the span of focus changed, and it went from land use decisions that cities have to make, whether or not to build a project, other decisions to make, whether or not to, who to have mow the grass in the parks and things like that. And it changed completely to things like how do we run the county hospitals that serve those that are indigent and poor and don't have health insurance. It went to things like how do we make sure people that don't have enough food to eat don't go hungry. It focused more towards protecting people from getting evicted from their homes and balancing that versus the landowner's right to utilize their property the way they would like to see it. And so my job changed considerably. It also meant that I got to get down to Fremont once in a while, and I got to get out to Oakland at least once a week, maybe twice a week. I've got to work with people that have very different concerns in their district than we have out here in our district. And let me tell you, the first thing I did was took a tour of Berkeley and Oakland and deep East Oakland. And the other thing I did is gave them a tour of what it looks like out here in Livermore. And boy, were they shocked to find that we actually have homeless encampment down at the Arroyo. Boy, were they shocked to find. I took them all the way to the Tracy line, and they kept saying, "Are we still in Alameda County? Are we still in Alameda County?" Yeah, we're still in Alameda County. And they opened my eyes when they showed me, you think we got it bad. Look out in Oakland at some of the homeless encampments that they have. And we got out of the car and we worked alongside some of the medical providers that are in the encampments every day. And it's just a different world right here in Alameda County, not more than 20 miles, 25 miles away. And so it really broadened the geographic scope and the subject matter that I work with as a county supervisor. I love both jobs. Mayor is a great job. Before that, I was a school board trustee for 10 years, and that was a great job. But I tell our board president, Keith Carson, who's done Alameda County Supervisor for 28 years, I always tell him, Keith, I love my job.
All right. Well, David, thank you so much for stepping out. You certainly beat out some really qualified competition. So congratulations to you.
So Dave, thank you very much for coming today. We really appreciate it. So switch mics here. Again, you're not going to want to miss next week. Gordon Jones is going to give us an update on cybersecurity issues. Good information to have so everybody can be safe. With that, good job, everybody. Be kind, be safe, and we'll see you next week.